This is the first analysis of 2020, complete analysis of 2024 real estate market performance for the following counties in North Texas: Hunt County, Kaufman County, Henderson County, and Navarro County. Those are all on the east/south part of North Texas. From a standpoint of performance on price, we can see that some counties performed in a fairly muted manner, while others had fairly extensive valleys and peaks. So let's take a look. As we can see, price-wise, just price-wise, I'm looking at the residential single-family 3 to 4 bedrooms resale properties. From the standpoint of price, Henderson County had some really strong performance and then big dips. Now, as you can see, if we exclude this kind of black swan behavior here in May, which I'm assuming were a few property that were maybe a couple of $1 million or something selling all together at the same time, we can see that even though it had dips and valleys, I'm sorry, dips and highs and lows, dips and valleys, highs and lows. We can see that even excluding this black swan performance here in May, we still can see that the price performance was pretty strong throughout the year for Henderson County. And then we can see that the price performance was really troublesome for Navarro County. If we start from the beginning of the year, let's just say from January, we see that starting in January, let's go one by one. Let's take from Henderson, which is a light green line on this graph. Henderson had the most interesting summer from a standpoint of price performance, with prices outperforming all other counties. Let's just say that. Then we go next to Hunt County, which is a blue line. And we can see that Hunt County, despite having fairly muted year, also showed fairly consistent performance throughout the year. So if we start from January of 2024, we can see that the peak really came very early for Hunt County. Peak really came in the cold parts of the year, which was January, February, March. And then it started a downhill slide for the rest of the year until we had a slight bump in November, and then it went downhill again. So that tells me that overall the Hunt County performance for resale properties was troublesome and weaker than we would see, for example, in 2023, where you can see where most of the year Hunt County was in a positive slope or in an upward slope. Let's take a look at our Kaufman County, which includes Forney and Kaufman as our main areas in that part of the DFW. And we can see that again, they had a fairly steady performance. It was neither too positive, neither too negative. It was just steady, which is not a bad thing, because when you're an investor or when you're a seller and you're trying to calculate or estimate how much approximately the house is going to sell for, it's much easier to estimate your future sale price or your ARV, after repair value, in a steady market like Kaufman compared to, let's just say, a very jagged performance of Henderson County or a downward slope of Navarro County. So we looked at Hunt so far, we looked at Kaufman, we looked at Henderson. Now let's look at Navarro. So from the standpoint of price performance, Navarro, again, similarly to Hunt, had their best months fairly early on. So we're in January, had a little bit of a trouble starting up, went straight up in April and May. So no, it had a normal price curve closer to May, April/May being the best years. So it started to really well, and then it dropped very rapidly after that, very rapidly. Like it lost almost a half of its value, to be honest. It didn't lose half of its value. The average price continued to decline through the year in a very rapid fashion. Now we see two losers, two counties that showed mostly negative performance for the year, and that was the Hunt County and the Navarro County, out of which, in my opinion, Navarro still outperformed Hunt because Hunt had a smaller increase and then continued to decline, while Navarro County had a very strong start. So at the very least, those people who had time to take part in the home market during the January/May period, they had an ability to capitalize on the upward swing, but then it really declined rapidly after that. So my predictions, guys, if you are flipping or if you're planning to sell in these counties, if you are in a Kaufman County, do not worry too much. You have a pretty steady performance for the year. If you're in a Henderson County, just be aware that unless you catch just the right cycle, you might be in a downward cycle that you have no control over. And the downward cycle can be very severe. If you are in Navarro County or in Hunt County, be aware that after approximately April, May, the market really starts to deflate really significantly, or can start deflating really significantly in those two counties. So it is best not to be going on the market after approximately April, just based on their last year's performance. Now, let's do remember that we did have an election, and that election was affecting the number of people who were shopping for homes. Okay, let's look at our days in the market. From the standpoint of days in the market, we can see that Henderson County, even though it had one of the better price performances, Henderson County really was a negative leader, so to speak, in how long it took to sell home, on average home. So we can see that on average, Henderson County was ranging between 43 and 94. Hunt County was ranging between 58 and 50, which means that the number of days to sell a home in Hunt County actually went down after January. For Kaufman County, it was ranging between 48 and 71. And then for Navarro County, it was ranging between 37 and 83. So as you can see, now the worst performance on days on market came from Henderson, Navarro, and Kaufman, while Hunt County was posting surprisingly few days on market. Months of supply, which means the backlog of unsold homes, the relationship between sold and unsold homes. Okay, very interesting dynamic. We can see that the green line, Henderson County, is definitely outperforming. Again, negative leader, just like it was a negative leader in days on market. It's a negative leader for the backlog of unsold homes. We definitely see 10 months on average of unsold homes for most of the year that declined only after October. At the same time, we see that the lowest months of inventory was in Navarro County. Now, that later increased to 6.3. But we can see that, again, the least amount of backlog of unsold homes was in Navarro and in Hunt County, surprisingly. Hunt County really speed up toward the middle of the year and then slowly drop back down. Henderson continued to stay high. Navarro County was pretty low throughout the entire year, and then just decided to jump up right before the holidays, which is a very strange time. Well, actually not a strange time, it's a month of inventory. So yeah, the backlog of homes really increased during the holiday. That actually makes sense. So from that standpoint, Kaufman was fairly predictable. Henderson was high but predictable. Navarro was fairly muted but unpredictable. And Kaufman, Hunt County was I would say a perfect little curve over there, fairly predictable for the summer. Homes for sale, which means inventory. Inventory tells us the supply part of the equation, because in any market we have the supply, which is the sellers, and the demand, which is the buyers. We're going to look at the demand in a second, but this is our supply side of the equation. As we can see, compared to the last 3 years, the number of homeowners or investors who were trying to sell during 2024 was significantly higher, almost 1.5 times the number of sellers who were trying to sell in 2023 and before in 2022, and definitely much higher number of sellers than we had during COVID. As a result, we have this blown up behemoth of inventory that we didn't have enough buyers for, and the prices actually reflected that. As you can see, the highest number of inventory, so months supply, the leader, the backlog was Henderson. But from a standpoint of pure homes for sale, the anti-leader was Kaufman. Kaufman had the highest number of homes for sale, which is not surprising because they have Forney and Kaufman in there. So Carroll, I think, also is in Kaufman County. So between those 3 cities, they definitely had more homes for sale than, let's just say, Navarro County, which is fairly sparsely populated based on, due to the fact that it's more rural. So as we can see that the definite leader was Kaufman County, and then the performance of homes for sale in Hunt and Henderson County was surprisingly similar. And in Navarro County, being the rural county, had the fewest number of homes for sale. And now let's look at the demand side of this equation. We can see that from a standpoint of demand, the number of closings per county, we see that in 2024, we had fewer sales on average than we had in 2022 and 2023. We were up to about half the sales of 2022, and we were about to 2/3 of the sales in 2023. And we can see that the largest number of sales actually came to the first part of the year, which is not surprising. So we see the highest number of sales coming from April/August. Now, almost for all counties, the only exception is being Hunt. Hunt had a very late bubble in terms of amount of homes being sold, which came in October. But for the rest, for Kaufman, Henderson, and Navarro County, we definitely see the best performance in the number of sold homes absorption happening before August. And then how many people were on average requesting access to see the properties? Fairly close performance from all 4 counties. I would say that on average, we're seeing anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 people, which is not a lot of shoppers to come and see the property. Now that's on average. Obviously, some homes received 100 walkthroughs, some homes received 2 or 3 and went under contract. I'm just looking at compared to, let's just say, the COVID era where we had this crazy low 2% interest rates, the number of people who are actively walking homes with an intention to purchase them is, so if in 2020, in the peak of 2022, when the interest rates were 2 to 3%, we had anywhere between 6 and 10 people walking through. Then in 2025, we have anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 people walking through. So less than a half of the demand of 2022. That is it for our review for the performance of the Hunt County, Henderson, and Navarro County in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. Now, that was for residential single-family resale properties. If you ever need to obtain information for other, let's just say for new construction, or maybe for townhomes or for condos or for farm and range properties in those counties, just let me know, and I can select either to display more detailed information per county or maybe drill down to zip code level. But if you're interested in information about performance of specific counties, zip codes, or cities, we can draw a map like that, or we can draw a graph like that for any of those areas. Thank you so much. My name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor with the Keller Williams Central in Dallas, Texas. And if you have any questions about the data or need to pull up more data, my contact is in the description below. I will see you guys at the next video.